Thank you very much to Beata Jezek of Hedgehog Fibres for joining me so we can have a talk about all things beautiful and yarny and hedgehog fibres.
Yay!
Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm really so pleased to have you join us. Thank you so much. This is kind of like meeting an idol, really. So I'm legitimately very excited. But yeah, what I wanted to invite you here today was so people can learn a bit about the people behind Hedgehog, some of the stories, some of the tales, and get to know you a bit more, because it's such a popular and wonderful yarn. And we wanted to give people a chance to hear a bit more about it and get to know you. So I do have a couple of questions that I've made some notes of. But I thought we could start by you telling me a bit about your origin story, which is on your website, but we'd love to hear it from you, how Hedgehog came to be.
How Hedgehog came to be. Well, I'm originally from Slovakia, but I've lived in Ireland for years blend together at this point. It's almost 20 years.
What is time at this point?
What is time at this point? But I started Hedgehog in 2008. There was kind of an economic downturn in 2008, and I got laid off. I used to work at an architect's office doing, honestly, I don't know what I was doing there, but I was working there. So I got laid off, and I got kind of bored sitting at home, and it was really difficult to find jobs. So I took up knitting by watching YouTube tutorials, which, you know what, it was really fun. Kept me
going. Way to get into it.
Yeah. And the first thing I knitted was a sock. It was, so I didn't kind of realize what gauge was, or that just didn't cross my mind. So the sock was about this big. But it was a sock. So, but I got better. And as I was trying to knit more and get better, I really wanted to knit with better yarn in 2008 in Ireland. And honestly, in Europe, impossible to find anything other than really scratchy wool or acrylics. So I kind of set out to find a different supplier, do something of my own, maybe, just dye it for myself, some fun colors, so I can knit with it. And then I joined a knitting group at that point sometime, and my friends there were like, whoa, I want some too. So it kind of grew from that, really. Yeah.
One of the things I love is the story behind the name, because we've had a few people say to us, oh, was it made from hedgehogs? No, it's not.
No hedgehogs are harmed in the process of making You know what? You'll be surprised. We do get this question. Yeah. Hedgehog. So my surname is Jezek, which means hedgehog. I'm from Slovakia. It's a Czech name, but it means hedgehog. So I'm Beata.
I love that. I think that's really cool. Yeah. And it's such a great way to be part of the brand, but in such a subtle way. I think it's really neat.
I thought, oh, what am I going to call it? Hedgehog Fibres. Had I known that what it's going to become, I don't know if I would have named it this, but I love it now, obviously. But it's in the beginning, there's nothing to lose. You're like, oh, I'm going to call it Hedgehog Fibres.
It's an iconic name for an iconic yarn line. So, and with that, so your colors, of Hedgehog is known for its vibrant colors, the speckles in particular, the wild combinations. What has that always been your personal aesthetic? Or was that what you were looking for when you started dyeing? Was brighter colors?
I would say I'm pretty sure my personal aesthetic and preferences have evolved over time and are evolving still. I'm always looking for something different and unusual. So even when I started Hedgehog Fibres, I was looking for colors that I just couldn't find in the shops, whether they were bright or something moodier, and then speckles kind of came on the scene. So that was really fun to do. And you just can't, it looks different. It looks handmade. And I love that look. And you can tell a knitter because a knitter is always wearing a speckled shawl or a speckled sweater, and I kind of like spotting knitters in the wild. So I love bright colors, and yeah, Hedgehog Fibres is known for our bright colors, which is super fun. I love wearing bright colors. Oh, on that note, that's a little tidbit from us. We are a dog-friendly workplace. So
fantastic. So it's not just your little one who joins you during the day. You've got a few.
So, our employees, they can bring their well-behaved dogs. But yeah, we usually have at least one dog running around here. So
that is so cool.
It's really fun. Yeah.
So how many people are in your team now? You've obviously not just you operating out of your home any longer. You're
no, we have
established and significant.
Yeah, we have a very professional looking studio. We have about, I think, 20 people right now. Yeah.
And how many are actively like dying?
Out of that, how many dyers do we have? I don't know, 10, 9. It varies, and it's been. I know we didn't really want to talk about COVID, but it's been kind of difficult the past 2 years. A lot of people, are out for longer periods of time, and it's just kind of it's been a bit up and down. That's hence our lead times all kind of whack right now.
Absolutely. Well, we're aware that lead times are because 5 years ago when we first brought you in, there were very long lead times, which I think was because you were so popular and we're having to scale up.
That was growing pains, and now we have COVID pains in terms of lead time.
Because there was a while there where the lead time was so incredibly short, and then then COVID turned up and messed that up. So we got around to that by ordering basically for what is for us a year's worth of yarn in one hit. So we've been stocking Hedgehog for nearly 5 years. And which is very cool. And in all honesty, we bought the Yarn Queen from previous owners. And she was just about to close it down when we bought it. So she had no stock, and we just basically started fresh suppliers. And in all honesty, Hedgehog Fibres is part of the reason we're still going after 5 years, because you were one of the first brands we brought in. At the time, there were no other suppliers in New Zealand. There had been some earlier, but they'd all shut up shop. And we went to our first event, which we're going to in 3 weeks again, which is in Auckland. It's called Woolfest, and our first shipment arrived only a couple of weeks, and we took it up there, and people were just falling over themselves to take it away by the armful.
Awesome. Really good.
It was amazing. I specifically remember from that event, someone was really umming and ahhing. It was Merlot. I remember this so specifically, and she was umming and ahhing about it, and we were in a windowless hall. So I said, look, give me your cell phone, take it out into the sunlight, see what you think of it. And so she did that, and she came back and she was like, oh, thank you so much. It's so different, because I knew like it was that particular color was showing really differently in the dark. And she's like, I'm so sorry, but it's no, it's not going to be for me. And she put it down, and there was a person who'd been standing there very, polite, idle, didn't seem to be doing anything. And as soon as it touched the table, she was like, oh, thank God, I was so hoping to put it back. She was doing her best not to broadcast her desperation for it.
You know what? Sometimes there could be some potlucks laying around here or some club colors, and I'm like, whose is this?
Obviously, this one is one of yours. I chose tonight especially.
Oh, cool.
Harajuku.
That's really pretty. It looks great on you.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of pink. It's and blue, so it's, as you can probably tell, and that's one of the reasons that I loved Hedgehog, is because I love bright, vivid colors. So how do you go about developing a colorway? I mean, what's your inspiration to final new colorway? Because you've just released a brand new season of yarn, which is very I feel like it's going back to some real core Hedgehog color combinations. Maelstrom is that fabulous blue and black with and flamingo. Oh my gosh!
Right.
As a pink person, love it.
I will be forever searching for the brightest colors. like flamingo. Mm-hmm.
Is amazing. And it looks like envy on your sleeves.
Sorry, say that
The
again.
envy you've got on the end of your sleeves there at the moment,
It's
what you're wearing?
UFO. It's UFO. It's kind of
UFO. It's coming quite green at my end.
Yeah. Yeah. I love UFO. One of my faves.
It's fantastic. So yeah, so how do you go about, is it all experimental? Do you have a very clear idea of what you're aiming for?
Some experimental, some with clear ideas for sure. So we have somebody coming in now. I often look at the range and see if we're missing something, right? We might be missing a good blue or medium blue, or then there's part of his experimentation for sure. We give the dyers a lot of freedom to create. We call these potlucks. They're kind of one-off colors, and sometimes some of them are so good that we have to make them into regular colors. And then and so that's kind of, and sometimes I just kind of have an idea, and I'd be like, I want something like this, and yeah.
Excellent. I was just thinking a couple of the potlucks which have ended up in a variation of final lines were the ones that were in Find Your Fade, the original Find Your Fade kit.
The original Find Your Fade. Mm-hmm.
Which had, I think, one ended up turning into, did one end up turning into Gossip? I can't remember. Gosh, there was a couple colors that came because there was so much demand for those kits.
Crush and Rosehip, I think, were the
Crush. Yes, I had Crush and Gossip in my head.
Is Harvest in it or something? Yeah. Yes, because Andrea Mowry, I think she got, it was a club color. She got it in a club because she's a club member. Has been for years, and I think she got it in a club and then used it in a design, and
which blew up.
It blew up, and then people were like, "But we need these colors." So yeah, and they were great. So we had to add them to the line. Yeah,
that's amazing.
That pattern's still going. It's been years.
Sorry?
That pattern's still going. It's been years. People love it. People love it. It's a great
absolutely
pattern.
And it was kind of, it was a big moment for Hedgehog. It was a big moment for fades as a concept. It was kind of,
I think, the fades really, as a concept, yeah,
really seminal yarn moment.
Yeah, and it resonated with so many people. I think the name was pretty genius, to Find Your Fade, and then it got people knitters kind of more creative and involved in picking their colors, and it became really fun, because doesn't everybody have this stash of single skeins at home? What am I gonna make with this? And then you can put them together. You find your fade. I think that was genius.
It's magic, and it's a real invitation for people to, as you said, participate and get creative. And
yeah, and everybody's project is unique, and you get to share it online. That was a great moment for sure.
So without wanting to go into any of your trade secrets, which I'm sure you have many, but one of the things that you definitely have told people is that there is some quite variability between Hedgehog colors and Hedgehog batches. And I have been known to joke that I'm pretty sure that your recipes are something along the line of a teaspoon of this, a teaspoon of that, toss it in and hope for the best.
They are. They are. And why? Because so we dye, do we dye 12 bases, 15 bases, something like that? Yeah, about 15. And they all behave differently in the dye pot. So if we would to measure, we can't add the same amount of dye to every base and expect the same color. The results are quite variable. So I compare the dyers, they're like chefs. So there is a recipe, but there's also a kind of an act to it. And yes, while we aim for the golden standard that we have displayed here in the studio, and that's our colorway that we're trying to achieve, this is a handmade product in small batches, and inevitably we will have variations. But yeah, our recipes are pretty much pinch of this, pinch of that. Yeah.
with your eyes.
It takes a while to train our dyers, and it's a very
I can
involved.
imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. It's kind of, yeah, you work with colors.
Mm.
It's cool.
You must. And some of your dyers been with you for quite some time.
Yes. Yeah. Some people have been with me for 10 years, nearly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's really cool. I suppose once I've gone to all that effort of learning those colorways.
Oh, yeah. 150 colors that you have to. No, I mean, we have it written down, but yeah.
It actually reminds me, as well as these brand new colors which have just come out in January, at the end of last year, you retired some. That must be kind of painful process. How do you decide who to say goodbye to?
It's so number one reason would be they don't sell. There's always a handful of people that will be missing that particular colorway, but if it's 5 people, I mean, we got to move on. And then sometimes we came up with a color and it's actually really difficult to dye, and it's really difficult to maintain consistency, even less so that I know that our skeins vary, but some colors used to be really off the wall no matter what we did, so we had to retire those just for that reason, that it was never up to the standard. It was really, really difficult to get it to that standard where we were happy with it.
That makes sense, because I think was it Malice or Vengeance was one of the ones that was retired.
Yeah, both.
But yeah, it might be why. Because the names are so similar in meaning, I always get them.
I also think
that
at the beginning of Hedgehog Fibres, I was kind of depressed because all the colorway names are Malice and Vengeance and Villain. You know,
so we can track your mood through the color names and when they come out.
Yeah, no, the newer ones are happier. I don't know.
I love it. But definitely those were colors that when we have ordered them in the past, we've noticed particular variability in. So that makes sense. It's really interesting that that even for you and your experienced team, that some of them are just so difficult to replicate.
Like the dye sometimes comes and it's different, and it then makes the whole process more difficult. So there's kind of aspect to it, and some colors I retire for that reason. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, your glorious sweater that you're wearing, is this one of your designs?
Yes, it is. It's called Turtle Poof.
Nice.
It's free. The pattern is free.
I do love the pattern support that you make available. Was moving into pattern designing an inevitable part of needing to support your yarn, or was it something you'd always had a desire to do anyway?
I think I have a strong desire to. I can follow patterns, and I do, but I'm also. I think I'm a pretty creative person, and I like to do everything my own. So, and I figured might as well just write it down then. and my patterns are free because honestly, there are way better designers out there than me, and my patterns are really simple and kind of basic because that's kind of what I like to knit anyway, and I just like playing with the colors. So I don't charge for my patterns because there are some sweater designers that are like way above construction wise that I would ever want to write and size. So my patterns are kind of on the simpler side. They're for beginners, and they look great with multicolored yarn. So
definitely. So do you have some other designers that you're particularly fond of that you love to knit and wear?
Yeah, I do. Andrea Murray, she's great. She's also the sweetest person ever.
Is she the namesake for DRK?
Yes. DRNA knits. Yeah. We did that colorway for her for a shawl of hers, I think it was. Plumpy or something. I don't know. Something like that. Yeah.
So we ordered some, and I saw it on the label, and I suddenly went, huh.
Yeah.
I know what that stands for.
Yeah. It could have been another potluck that we sent her, and she was like, I love this one. I think it could have been. But yeah, we do a lot of yarn support for a lot of designers. They're all fantastic. You can, I kind of share as much as I can on my Instagram. So you can kind of, like, if people want to follow me, that's cool, because I share a lot of great designs made with Hedgehog Fibres. So
you really do.
Yeah, we love
Great
pattern support. So we send a ton of yarn to a ton of people all the time. If somebody wants to design with our yarn, we're, get in touch. We can organize something, I'm sure.
That is really cool. That is very cool to know. I'm one half of the Yarn Queen. So it's me and my mum, Ruth, is the other half. It's just the two of us. So we live a couple hours apart. She does most of our dispatch. So she's the dragon guarding the yarn vault, full of all its squishy treasure. So I had sent her a message before. So do you have any particular questions you want me to ask? And what she wanted to know is, what are some of the things that you like, lessons you've learned? What are the over the last few years?
The last few years, the things that I've learned. I've learned to not micromanage things, or I'm learning to. I had a baby, and I kind of had to kind of let go of some of the aspects of the business. So yeah, that would be one of the things. You meant professional or knitting wise? Because I've also learned many things knitting wise.
I actually both.
I think we collectively as knitters now knit sweaters. I don't know if you've noticed that trend. So I've knitted some kind of new sweater techniques, and so that was kind of fun, like different shaping. Yeah,
I did sort of think that over the last sort of, I don't know, maybe a year or so, that there has been a more and more sweaters rather than shawls coming through as the it item.
That's, I think that as well. So, because like 5 years ago, everybody was making shawls, and I think that there's a slight shift to sweaters now, which is cool.
It's great for me. I've always had a preference for sweaters, and it means that there's some fantastic patterns coming out. And I also have a bit of a enthusiasm for vintage knitting patterns. It's actually part of what got me into knitting in the first place.
Cool.
But none of them are my size, and they're all fiddly and complicated to resize. And I have appreciated the increase in modern vintage-inspired sweaters, which just make my life easier.
And we are collectively, knitters and designers, things have been moving towards size inclusivity, and it's so great to see. And it's really good to see.
Absolutely. I love that. So you're going to show us a little bit around. Is that something you can do if enough people arrived or not arrived?
Will I carry you up on the computer? I suppose. So up here, this is one of our twisting rooms.
Oh, wow.
So after the wet yarn comes up, it we have some boxes of twisted yarn. So we have a team of people up here who twist the yarn. And okay, this is a drying room.
Look at that. Oh, I love it.
So the wet yarn comes into a room like this, and it dries overnight. And then it gets taken in the morning by our lovely staff, and then gets twisted and labeled. And this is not really, I don't know, there's not much to show it here.
Ooh, there must be some flamingo in that stack behind you, I assume.
There's some flamingo here.
It makes its presence known.
Say that again?
The flamingo makes its presence known.
I know, right? So as I said, we're always in search of the brightest colors. So
I do. I've seen a few of these tubs of yarn and some of your gram pictures.
Yeah,
so it's really great to have some context.
Yeah, they are. They're just IKEA, but they're clear, which is really handy when you have a stack like this and you're looking for something. So like here, look, these are all potlucks.
Oh wow!
Sock, boucle, yeah.
That is very cool.
Honestly, I'm looking at this going, I might have to have a look through these for myself.
So do you have any projects you're working on at the moment? What's your work in progress at the moment?
I am almost finished with a sweater for my baby boy. So that's kind of a little fun sweater for him. So I'm almost finished with that. Like there's some more yarn here. So we have lots of rooms like this, and there's yarn everywhere.
I recognize all these familiar colors.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see more potlucks here. So yeah.
Some beautiful colors in there.
All kinds of fun things. Okay. The light here is really bad, isn't it? It's yeah.
See, 2 or 3 years ago, none of us were thinking about our light all the time.
Oh, this is crazy. I was just telling my husband the other day, I'm making reels for Instagram. What?
It is the way of the future.
Yeah. This one's a little brighter. So they're pretty empty. So, I guess everybody is on top of everything because they're pretty empty drying rooms.
That is fantastic. I'm just loving all these colors. Amazing. Thank you so much. How long have you personally been in Ireland?
I think it's been almost 20 years. I got here when I was 18, so I'm 35 now. So yeah.
Yeah. Is that your neon say knit all the things?
Knit all the things.
Nice. Excellent advice. It's the only motto we need.
Right. Yeah, knit all the things.
And this is your showroom that you're in?
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a showroom / storefront where people can visit. That's it. We're not like in a city or anything, so we're out in a business park. So we don't get a ton of people coming in, but yeah, people do come in sometimes, and you can visit Hedgehog Fibres. Like we're open to public.
As soon as we can start traveling around the world again, it's something that I would love to do.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that'd be so fun. Yeah, you should totally come. Ireland's beautiful. Sheep everywhere. It's green. You're from New Zealand. It's the same thing.
It sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
I have a habit of when we go on road trips around the country, right, because we go to during our winter big yarn events around the country. So our first one for this year is coming up in 3 weeks, and in Auckland. It's probably one of the biggest ones of the year. There was a couple earlier that didn't survive our most recent outbreak, but we're very excited about this one. But my tendency on road trips when we go past sheep, which we do a lot because it's New Zealand, is to point and yell, "I'm going to wear you one day."
Sheep. Sheep.
Yarn. That says a sweater. That's a pair of socks.
Yeah. Well, here it's more kind of meat production rather than wool, because the weather's not really conducive to a lot of people always ask me, "Oh, Beata, where is it Irish wool?" It's not. We just don't have the weather here for fine wool production. It rains, it's muddy, the sheep get super dirty all the time. It's like really difficult to keep them clean and the fleeces up to the quality and standard. So Irish wool for hand knitting is not really a thing.
Yeah.
Well, there are some mills here. It's usually imported, but
so yeah. Most of your wool is Peruvian, isn't it?
It is some, South American, yeah.
Is it is it spun in Ireland, or is it spun?
We spin. We have a few. We work with a few mills. Some are in Europe and some are in South America. Yeah. We don't spin in Ireland. There, honestly, the wool industry here is small. They wouldn't have the capacity.
Yeah, and so that's a question actually. So all your bases are spun for you to your like you specify them and commission them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is very cool. So when you go into choosing a new base,
mm-hmm.
Is that because you have a particular yearning desire for something? And
basically, yes.
The whole thing's really just a large excuse to keep you clothed in knitted garments of your choice.
Yes. I make no secret of this. It is all our yarn and all our colors are the ones that I want to knit and I want to crochet with and I want to wear and I want to use. So, and I think because I'm a huge knitter. I'm always knitting. I knit 50 garments a year. So this is I am the driving force, and this is the driving force for me. It's stuff that evolves with me as my skills and my preferences evolve. And yeah, it's basically new bases are the ones that I want to knit with and I want to work with, and I think other knitters might enjoy as well.
So I know that parents can never officially choose between their children, but do you have a particular color or a particular base or both that is your absolute favorite?
From the bases, probably sock yarn is my favorite. It's so versatile. If you happen to throw it in the washing machine, look, it's not going to die a terrible death. It's, it's very versatile. You can hold it double for DK. So I'd say that's my favorite. That's what I knit with the most. It's soft. It's not scratchy. And it takes colors really well. So all the colors look really good. And then my second favorite, and I don't think many people share this opinion. We have this boucle that it's this, and it looks just like kid silk, but kid silk sheds and this doesn't. So yeah,
I think that's a weird boucle. There's a few people out there with some flashbacks to bad boucle experience.
I know, but this one's it's very fine. It's very little, and it doesn't look like boucle. It really doesn't look like boucle once it's knitted, but it doesn't shed.
That is, I'm sold. We'll try it.
We'll send you a sample.
Deal.
Okay.
And what about a color? Do you have or even a couple that you can, from your top 10 that you can share?
Oh, I like pink ants. I like UFO. I like this one. And then this is taffy. That's one of my favorites. A pink.
I love taffy.
Yeah, I like the speckles. The really fun speckles that we have from the new ones. Oh, and puffball from the new ones. Oh, I really like that one. That one's more neutral with like a fun, colorful speckle, but it's beautiful. So I really like that one.
It falls into the same category as leopard as a neutral. Like it's
yes,
surprisingly versatile, even though it has a lot of personality all of its own.
It's a hedgehog neutral. Our neutrals are never like totally neutral. Even Tweety, our recycled yarn, it's a neutral, but with all the colorful speckles.
Yeah. And you do have some semi-solids.
Yeah.
So like Harajuku, which I'm wearing, and a few others. But even then, there's a lot of none of them are straight solids. They're all semis, and there's lots of depth and variety inside that.
They're all tonal, I would say. I would call it tonal. So because we applied the dye in kind of layers to build up the color. So there's a like a tonal quality to all our semi-solids as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. A couple of my favorites are in your semi-solid range. I absolutely love Wish and Plump. They glow. I don't know how you make them do that, but they just have an inner light.
Yes. Thank you. Just make sure you wash them in cold water. Because these, so they're very deep, strong colors, and like the whole textile industry, reds can be a problem with whites when they're washed together. So just cold water will minimize any bleeding. Wish is very saturated as well, but yeah, it's just a little caution right there.
No, it's actually that is something. So you can't be on the internet for more than a few seconds without people having opinions in the comments. But I have seen some very heated discussions in various places about different ways to treat or work with hand-dyed yarns. Make sure you rinse it in vinegar, make sure you rinse it in this, make sure you use cold, make sure you use lukewarm. From someone who has probably dealt with more hand-dyed yarn than most, what is your recommendation, and what's the truth or not behind the vinegar will fix all your problems story?
Right. So I knit with Hedgehog Fibres pretty much exclusively, and I
Why would you not?
generally do not have issues. And so what I do, I soak my finished product. Ideally, if you're doing color work, you want to swatch and do this first. So you soak it in cold water. I use cold water and a wool wash, or just like a dish detergent is fine too. Just a little bit. Let it soak. Don't agitate it too much. And I put it in a washing machine on a spin cycle to spin the water out before I lay it out flat to block. And I've never had issues. And I combine colors all the time. It's fine. We don't recommend vinegar soaks. We don't recommend any pre-washing of skeins. It won't do much. If you wash your strongly colored skein in hot water, it will leak some dye into the water. No matter what you do, like it will. Some detergents can encourage dye leaking as well. So what I recommend, just like mild wool wash, or washing them liquid and cold water, and generally you shouldn't have any problems. The vinegar soaks. When we dye, we use citric acid and we heat it up to very high temperatures. So cold soak in vinegar, it's just not going to do much. My recommendation is to swatch. I know, super boring. If you're combining colors, you're doing stripes or color work with hand-dyed yarn, swatch. If it's a strong red with a light color, they'll just never be friends. You wouldn't wash red sock in with a load of whites because it will bleed. It's just textile industry, and we don't use any magical dyes that will never bleed, So just caution when you're combining colors. If it's a one color garment, it's generally like not an issue.
Yeah, makes absolute total sense. And look, I have a little bit of experience in that personally, because about 3 weeks ago my hair was a much brighter purple, but because I'm not prepared to have ice cold showers, it fades.
Yeah,
that's what it does.
It does. It will fade. Yeah. I don't think, I think people generally have more issues with when they combine like a lighter color with plump, which is a really deep red pink.
Oh, I love it.
It's beautiful. But if you combine it with a white, it will stain the white. Yeah. No matter what you do, so,
yeah.
Swatching.
Swatching is the answer to all the problems, really.
Yeah, no, it's so boring. It can be, you know what? It can be this little, just to test the colors, how they wash together, just to make sure
they wash together
okay.
That is a very good point. So what is so are you still actively dyeing, or is it just your dyers, or are you mainly doing new color development? And
yeah, I kind of do the more creative side of things as opposed to the day-to-day, because I had a baby, so I'm technically still on a maternity leave. So
you're doing an excellent job of that, I see.
Well, I'm back kind of part-time, and I do kind of some of the more creative things, but the day-to-day I'm not here at the moment. But otherwise, yeah, I do some dyeing. I do a lot of the clubs, and I do some potlucks, and and new colors and things like that.
So of all the things you get to do in your day, which I'm sure are lots of wonderful things, do you have a particular soft spot for any particular task, particular process, color development, re-dyeing an old favorite?
Oh, it's just the day-to-day dyeing is the best. If I could only do that, I would be happy out. That's my happy place, just with the pots and dyeing, and I love it's so sad. Like, you get such a job satisfaction out of it because you can see your finished product at the end of the day. You have this pile of beautiful yarn. So that's definitely my favorite thing to do. If I could do it all day, I would.
Fantastic. Well, I have in this you mentioned that would be your ideal day, and I had a thought. In this ideal day, would you be listening to music, or would it be quiet?
Oh, 100%. We have music on here all the time, and we don't censor the music in the studio, so
You have a variety.
Music choices here sometimes, but it's all fun. It's all good.
If people were going to recreate the Hedgehog experience at home, what's a song that you're particularly enjoying at the moment, dying to, that people can play and have the Hedgehog experience?
No, it's there's like a lot of kind of weird rap going on here. Yeah. Quite explicit lyrics and yeah, it's all fun. We have Spotify here, and we just people put on their playlists, and yeah.
Is there a particular song of yours that you particularly like?
When you have 20 people just like playing their plays, it's like there's some tensions here sometimes, but we try not to judge.
Story of all the workplaces.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So if there was is there anything that you're listening to at the moment that you're particularly fond of?
Oh, particularly fond of? I don't know. Honestly, I have such a baby brain. It's like...
So we should just be anything that's not Wheels on the Bus is working for you.
Yeah. I've been playing classical music to my child. I don't know if it's gonna do anything, but hey, here we are.
Excellent. It's been an absolute delight. I feel like I could listen to you tell stories about yarn. And in fact, here's a final question. Do you have any particular, this one time tales of humor or funny moments that you think people would love to hear?
Besides some dog-related injuries in the workplace, I don't know. Yeah, one guy once got bitten. Who was it? By his own dog, I think, at work. I don't know. And once, Hedgehog Fibres is, if you find a dog on the street, you go to Hedgehog Fibres. Because there's a lot of people here foster dogs. I used to foster dogs. We work with the local rescue. We donate to the local rescue a lot. So if you find a dog, you go to Hedgehog Fibres. So once somebody brought in a Chihuahua that was this big. That was so cute. And then once me and one of the girls here, she fosters, and I was like, Neve, I saw this greyhound running around at the roundabout. So we went chasing after it. She cornered it. And like it bit her hard. We had to take her to the emergency room.
Oh wow!
We're dedicated animal welfare. So it was all okay. We got it treated. It wasn't that bad. She didn't need stitches, but this is how dedicated we are.
That's cool. So you're obviously you start off by saying a dog friendly place. More than dog friendly, dog enthusiast.
We are all animal enthusiasts. I think if you could bring other animals, people would, but we haven't tried it. I once brought my cat. That didn't go well.
Very different mindset, the cats of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's still here looking at me. There you go. Their tongue sticking out. Well, look, as I said, I can imagine that I could spend all day hearing tales and seeing around the place and getting to know you. It's been so much fun, but I also know it's beginning of the day for you.
Yes,
you probably
I can see people walking by and just taking the long way around not to go
this. Everyone's camera shy.
Yeah, for sure.
Look, get them to do your reels for you. That'll sort that out. So I will thank you so very, very much.
It's been
and it has been an absolute delight. And as I said, meeting an icon, meeting a industry and fashion hero is just fantastic. It's been a really, really good time. So yeah, and if it's all right with you, I might see if we have people, if they have any questions come up after we have got this online. People pop any questions. I'll sort of give it a wee while, collect like 2 or 3 of the top ones, and see if you're happy for us to answer via email and pop them up.
Yeah, no worries. That sounds good. Be happy.
Amazing. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. It's the last day of the week. It's So have a wonderful day. Thanks to you and to your team.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.